Welcome to Market Recap Live. I'm your host, Joseph Martin, and thank God it's Tuesday, guys. And tonight we're taking a look at ticker HD. You might know them better as Home Depot. The Home Depot Incorporated was founded in 1978 by Bernard Marcus and Arthur Blank, with the first store opening in Atlanta, Georgia. Now they're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange and have a market value over $300 billion. Yes, that's with a B, billion dollars. Home Depot is in the specialty retail industry in the consumer discretionary sector, and they are listed in the S&P 500 index. Some of Home Depot's competitors are Lowe's, ticker LOW, Floor and Decor, ticker FND, and Williams Sonoma, ticker WSM. We're going to review Home Depot's earnings, their website, and visit the charts to perform a quick technical analysis. But before we do that, let's do our roll call and check our stream poll. We are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Let's get this chat going and tell us where you're tuning in from. Put a YT in the chat if you're tuning in from YouTube, and put an FB in the chat if you're tuning in from Facebook. While you guys are filling up the stream and the chat, here's the mission statement. We are building a community over here for people who want to take control of their financial situation by learning how to unlock the wealth building power of the stock market. And we are streaming Monday through Friday following trading sessions at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. The U.S. stock market regular trading hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's a link for the New York Stock Exchange calendar down in the description. I don't know why I was stumbling over that. And there's a link for the New York Stock Exchange calendar down in the description. Now, let's get to it. Let's go to these earnings. Bam. We got it. Do we need to zoom in a little bit? Let's just see. Let's just see. It ain't even moving. Let's just go. Home Depot, ticker symbol HD, the $301.2 billion company, reported its first quarter 2026 earnings on Tuesday, May 19th. They have a 52-week high of $426.75, which took place on September 17th, and a 52-week low of $289.10 that occurred today, May 17th, which is a trading range of, wait a minute, we got to do this again. All right, let me explain to you what's going on. I use this section to create shorts and reels, so when people watch them, today ain't gonna be today, and I forgot about that. Okay, so I need to put in today's date. So occurred Tuesday, May 19th. All right, so forgive me, but I need to make sure this is correct because I use this to create shorts and reels. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's try this one more time. Home Depot, ticker symbol HD, the $301.2 billion company, reported its first quarter 2026 earnings on Tuesday, May 19th. They have a 52-week high of $426.75, which took place on September 17th, and a 52-week low of $289.10 that occurred Tuesday, May 19th, which is a trading range of $137.65. And they closed today at $302.44. I said today again, didn't I? And they closed today. Well, yeah, they closed today. We got the date on the thing. Let's just keep it moving. Home Depot earnings report beat on the top line, reporting revenue of $41.8 billion, which was higher than the market expectations of $41.5 billion, and beat on the bottom line despite acquisition impacts and market conditions weighing on GAAP profitability. Adjusted EPS was higher than the analyst and market expectations of $3.41 when they reported an adjusted EPS of $3.43. Home Depot reported a GAAP Net income of 3.3 billion, which was lower than the 3.4 billion net income they reported this same quarter last year. This represents a decrease of 4.2%. So for the first fiscal quarter of 2025, their net profit was approximately 4.4% higher than it is compared to now a year later. The earnings were released before the market opened, followed by a 9 a.m. Eastern Time conference call. As far as guidance, management reaffirmed its full fiscal 2026 guidance, calling for total sales growth of 2.5% to 4.5%. That 52-week high compared to today's closing of $302.44 represents a decline of 29.1% over a span of approximately 8 months. So if someone invested $1,000 in September at that 52-week high of $426.75, they would be seeing a loss of $291.29. All right, guys, let's go on to this. Ooh, my mouth was watery. Wait a minute, this tea. What? Ooh, tonight starting off kind of rough, but we gonna get through it. Let's talk about why we visit these company websites. We're looking at the visuals and text to find answers to these key questions. What goods and or services does the company sell? How important are those goods and services to their customers? What makes this company stand out from the competition? And how well do they take care of their employees? To find those answers, we browse 4 key areas: the homepage for goods and or services, about us for purpose, vision, and mission statements, careers for employee benefits and opportunities, and investor relations for SEC filings and stock quotes. And for your convenience, all companies featured in tonight's live stream are down in the description. Now, let's go to Home Depot's website and check that out. Let's see what's going on over there. Blow that up. Boom. Now, I did some research before we did the show tonight, so I got some more information about Home Depot, but we pretty much know they sell building supplies, stuff for around your house, appliances. And I think they've even gotten to selling some furniture too, because I had bought a bed frame and I think a mattress from Home Depot. So let me browse over their website, and I believe they have financing too through their company as well. So I don't know if that would also count as something that brings in revenue, because they do have a card specific to Home Depot. So we're going to browse over this home page, and when we get down to the bottom, I'll point out the links we're going to follow to go to what we're going to look at, those key areas. And remember, the links for the websites we're going to visit tonight are also down in the description for your convenience. So here are some of the companies that they work with as far as like brands that they cover. Let me take me off the screen so you can see that. So we can see HDX, Husky, Defiant, just reading a few of them, Glacier Bay, Everbuilt, Commercial Electric, EcoSmart. So let's talk about where we're going to visit. So about us. So we're definitely going to go to careers. They say corporate information, investor relations, and they say our, so that's definitely our brands. I don't see anything that says specifically. So we're going to go to corporate information. I'm hoping that would be like the information we're looking for to find the mission and purpose and vision and all of that. Sometimes they have it under the career section. So let's just go ahead and go to corporate information and see what we can find. This looks like it's the investors information stuff, even though they got a separate link for it. The screen must be too close to me. You saw how I leaned back? I'm like, whoa, what's going on? That was way too much orange on my eyes. So I'm like, what's going on? So did they zoom us out? Zoom in, zoom in. Yeah, they zoomed us out. That's why this looks crazy. So let's keep scrolling down. Let's see, living our values. So yeah, now I see something that says about us. Please have the vision, mission, and purpose. All he did was take us to the top of the page. So it looks like this is a video. It says, see our history. Oh, it does have some different stuff. It was just the same picture. So built from all the right materials. When the Home Depot was founded in 1978, Bernie Marcus and Arthur Blank Had no idea how revolutionary this new hardware store would be for the home improvement and retail industry. So they talk about the strategic framework of the three-legged stool, their values, the inverted pyramid. This is very interesting to me. Remember, the links for this website is down in the description for your convenience if you want to read over this a little bit more and check it out. So we found the About Us. Let's go ahead and go to careers. It's behind my video. So let me show you careers right here. Bam, we go in there. Now, this opened up a whole separate website. So let me bring this over. Let me put me back on the screen as well. There we go. Blow this up. This might take a second, but I'm going to walk you through it. So we blew it up, zoom in. Wait a minute. I don't know what that just did. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. Back this up. What did that do? Is this careers? Yeah, this careers. So blow this up. And we're just trying to zoom in. It keep clicking something, guys. Give me 1 second. It's clicking something, which I don't want it to do. All I'm trying to do is zoom in. Let's try it this way. There we go. All right. Couldn't use my preset button on my stream deck. This thing was acting crazy. Okay. So about the company benefits. Bam. That didn't take long. So we're going to scroll over this. Something finally going right. So let's scroll over this homepage and then we're going to go look at benefits because that's what we're looking for. All right. So scroll down, find jobs around you, discover something unexpected. So they talk about the benefits, the culture, military commitment, stay connected, things like that. So it looks like they have 2 places to click benefits, and it looks like it's definitely going to open up a separate web page. So it's right here. Let's click that. Oh, it didn't, even though it had the icon that it would open up a separate web page. Okay, I'm cool with it. So here are the benefits. It looks like they go into some good details compared to what we see on other websites. Okay. So they got financial planning benefits. They break that down: 401k, college planning, tuition reimbursement, employee stock purchase plan, profit sharing, discounts for associates. So wait a minute, gym. Associates enjoy healthier lifestyle at a lower cost with discounts on gym memberships and more. I didn't know that Home Depot had that. Food and groceries. Discounts on meal kits, groceries, and food delivery help our associates make planning meals easier. That's interesting. Okay, so we checked that out. We checked out the benefits, which this should be the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. And now we're going to go ahead and go to the investors relations section. Is that down here at the bottom? Can we go there? Yep, we can go there from here. So it's loading something. All right, so we're there. Let's blow this up. Let's zoom in. 150. There we go. Hit that like button. I definitely would appreciate it. And consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so we're going to scroll over this page to see what we can find. And then I'm going to go back to the top and I'm going to look for the stock quote. So over 164.7 billion in sales, 13.1% adjusted operating margin, ROIC. I don't know what ROIC stands for. So you know what we do. We go ahead and we ask AI. We'll go ahead and ask AI. We're not going to stay ignorant. You know what I mean? So let me pull this up. Let me put this on me because I don't know what's going to pop up on my screen. So let me do that. Bam. Now I'm going to pull up AI. We're going to ask what that stands for. Gemini. Get this set up. Go over here. Invest in trading. Drop this. What does ROIC stand for in investing? Bam. All right. So I'm going to pull this over so you guys can see it as it pulls up the answer. There we go. And then we can blow this back up. ROIC stands for return on invested capital. I knew ROI mean return on investment, but I didn't know they added a C to it as well. So it is a financial metric used to evaluate how efficiently a company allocates its capital, debt, and equity to profitable investments. It essentially measures the actual return a business generates on the money it reinvests back into its own operations. Got it. Return on investment capital. So what that means is the amount of money that they invest back into themselves, how much of that do they actually turn into profit. So they turn the money that they reinvest into themselves. They have a gain, adjusted ROIC gain of 25.7%. So as an estimate, that would be like for every dollar that they invest into themselves, it returns back to them as $1.25. Okay. Compared to a 31.9% the previous year. So that's dropped. That's a decline. So the money that they invest into themselves has dropped since the fiscal year of 2025. So that's how we find out what this stuff means. We just look it up, guys. It's about learning. It's about learning. You don't have to be like, well, I don't know, and stay that way. Look it up. Just look it up. So we just did that in real time. Let's go to finding where the stock information is, okay? Stock information, bam. So we're gonna go here and we're looking for the stock quote and chart. I see the list right here, but I don't see it on this page. All right, here we go. Here go one of them ones. So guys, sometimes when we go to these businesses websites, they don't have some of these pages even set up. Now, I remember when we looked at the company yesterday, it took a minute to load up. So that could possibly be what's going on here, or it could be they have a stock quote and chart page, but they actually don't have a stock quote and chart on the page. And I'm thinking that's what this is. Let's see if any of this turns into anything. I don't see the investment calculator. I don't see, they got the stock split information. You see how it's changing? They have those tabs active, but when we go to investment calculator, nothing. We go to historical lookup, nothing. We go to stock quote and chart, nothing. So as we cover the other companies tonight, we're going to see the difference. So just stay with me. Stay with me. So let's go here. We're pretty much done with this. We've seen what we needed to see on Home Depot website. So let's go here. Bam. Now, I want to talk about the company research that I found. So we can actually go here to keep their ticker on the screen. So Home Depot does have customers and partners that are listed in the S&P 500 index. Some notable names include Masco, ticker MAS, Stanley Black & Decker, ticker SWK, and Whirlpool, ticker WHR. Okay. So that's what I found in my research before the live stream. And here we go. Let's go to the main. Bam. All right. Now let's talk about this. Before we look at the charts, remember, professionals trade from a computer, not a mobile device. Mobile trading apps are limited. Traders can lose critical details and advanced platform features using apps on phones instead of software on computers or websites. So keep in mind, trading from a smartphone is usually the least effective way for managing assets. To access the most details, it's best to use a full trading platform. Watch these streams on a computer or TV and only use your phone as a last resort, okay? So now let's look at the Home Depot on the charts. Here we go. All right, so we are looking at a 1 year daily chart. We're looking at a 1 year daily chart, and we can see the 52-week high of $426.75. We see the 52-week low of $289.01. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the 10-year weekly chart, and we're going to start doing our technicals from over there, okay? So bam, here we are. We are looking at a 10-year weekly. Let me take me off the screen. So we can see they have a 10-year low of $119.20, and they have a 10-year high of $439.37. So I'm going to use this trend line tool, and I'm going to connect it to this high, and I'm going to connect it to the close of today. I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit, guys. I'm going to have to zoom in because it's hard for me to see where this was connecting to, and I can actually put me back on the screen because I'm not blocking anything now. Here we go. So I'm gonna connect it to this high, the 50, well, it's a 10-year high. The 10-year high to the close of today. There's the close. That's not the high. So we can see that over a matter of 539 days, the stock has declined 31.17% from that high to today's close. And if you wanted to break down how many, like a more specific time frame, we could pull up our calculator and we can break it down into months. So if we took 539 and divided that by 30. It's about 30 days in every month. So that was about 17 months. We know that 12 months are in a year, so about a year and a half. We can look at it that way. And then we can kind of eyeball it on the chart. This is like the midpoint, and this is near the end of 2024. This is like November. Yep. So that's November 25th. I hope you can see that at the bottom. So from November 25th, 2024 to May 18th, this is a weekly candle. That's why I'm saying 18th, even though today is the 19th. The week starts on Monday. So May 18th, 2026. But we know that the Tuesday day is in there. So May 19th, 2026. It went down 31.17% from that 10-year high to today's closing price. Okay. Now let's look for our technicals. And we're going to start off by doing that on the 10-year weekly chart. So I'm going to remove this tool and I'm going to look for support. I'm going to say that this area right here, okay, let me take me off the screen so you can see this. Take me off the screen. All right, right here. These candles, I can't even see the mouse. What's going on? Oh, it's not on. Give me a second. There we go. All right. Oh, come on. Don't do this. Oh, guys. Guys. There we go. It's loaded up. These candles right here. These candles seem to be where this candle found support at. So let me show you how I got that. If I go to this tool right here, this is called a price level. Take that and put it on this candle right here. You can see that if we zoom over here now, let me use this other candle. I mean, this other mouse. Now, if we go over here, today's low tested that price level. You can see it came real close to that price level with that $288.42. I'm gonna zoom out and I'm gonna zoom in over here and I'm gonna remove this off the chart. It was this area right here. So we see the end of 2020 is that zone. Let me zoom out. 2020. So like right in here. And I'm gonna have to use a tool inside Thinkorswim so when I move it, we can see what area we're looking at. This shaded area right there. So now when I zoom in, it'll stay right there so we can see what we're looking at. Okay. So this area is where I got that price level from because it seemed to be tested for a few weeks. Remember, we're looking at a 10-year weekly chart. So that's how I got those levels. It's not random. So that's where I got those levels from to see where it found support. Now, I know this is further back, but I'm seeing that it got respected here. It actually got tested a few times over here as well, but it wasn't as clean as pointing out this example here, okay? So it was tested here a few times and here. I'll just expand it. Even over here. But the difference is over here, it made it lower, like it came down a lot further, but it found support on a 200-week simple moving average. That's what I'm seeing to find this level here. So if I was going to put another level below it to find another area of support, it would be right here. I'm going to use the price level right here, and I would snap it to the bottom of this red candle's low. There it is. So the next area of support that I'm seeing would be $274.26 based off of the 10-year weekly chart. As far as resistance, I'm going to say resistance is going to be at this most recent pullback, which will be the low of that candle right there, that green candle's low. I don't know how small that's going to be on your screen. Let me put me back on the screen. But that's what I'm seeing as possible resistance, as well as the 9-week simple moving average, that green dash line. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see this better. So I'm seeing resistance here. You can see that the price wasn't able to hold above it this week, that week. So this was the week, this was last week's candle right here. So it opened above that price level of $315.31 on Monday, but it closed down here by Friday. And then it closed above this the week before last week. So that was the week of May 4th. And then the following week of May 11th, it actually closed below it. And then on this week, the week of April 6th, we can see that the low tested that price level of 315.31 recently. So that's what I'm seeing as resistance. And then my next area of resistance will be the 200-week simple moving average and these highs right here. So just for kicks and giggles, I'll go ahead and put that there too. So those are my 4 levels that I'm seeing. And the price action that we're looking at as far as right now is going to be right here, this green candle, the week that's forming right now. So we have Monday in there, and then we have Tuesday in there today on that weekly candle that we're looking at. So those are the technicals that I'm seeing on the weekly chart. So now we can go ahead and go over to the 1-year daily chart, and we can see that we have our technicals drawn already. That's another reason why I like using the higher time frames. But remember, when we go to a different time frame, our simple moving averages are averaging out a different length of time. So now this is a 9-day simple moving average, and this is a 200-day simple moving average because we're looking at days instead of weekly candles like we were looking at on the previous chart. So now I would see this 9-day simple moving average as resistance and the 200-day simple moving average as resistance on the daily chart. And these are still going to be my areas of resistance because we took them from the weekly as far as these price levels, $315.31 and $352.02 as resistance because that's above the current price action. And support, I'm looking at that 288.42 and that 274.26 for areas of support. Okay. So we got the quick technical analysis done, so we can go ahead and move on to getting the stock quote information. So I'm going to go up to settings, cut on my floating data box, click apply. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit and mouse over. I'll zoom in a little bit more and mouse over today's candle right here. So Home Depot opened today at $291.87. They had a high of $303.19. They had a low of $289.10, and they closed today at $302.44, which was a trading range of $14.08. And when we look at the trading volume, they traded 8.6 million shares of their stock today. And remember, we usually see increased volume on earnings. So because they had their earnings announcement before the market opened, we should have seen an increase in volume today compared to what they usually get on average. So we're going to go and check that now. So let me cut off the floating data box because this drives me crazy while we're moving around on this charts to look at the average volume labels or the volume labels. Take me off the screen. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button. I definitely would appreciate it, and consider subscribing to the channel. So right here, the average volume that Home Depot gets in a trading session is about 4 million shares in a daily trading session. That's what they normally trade. So today they had 2 times that because they did 8.6 million compared to average. Now, on Monday, they did have trading volume that was above average as well. And today was showing that it was an increase from there with the 6.3 on Monday, 6.3 million, and today 8.6. So we definitely see an increase in volume. Now, when we look at the volume rank percentile, put me back on the screen, out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 3 of those days had higher trading volume than today. Now let's look a little deeper. So on the volume rank percentile, that would be 98.8%, which means that today's volume was higher than 98.8% of those most recent 252 trading days. Bam. So now we can move on. Let's go back here. All right. All right. Now, back to the community. I would appreciate it very much if you guys share the stream, hit the like button, subscribe. And if you wish to send a monetary gift to support the content, Cash App and PayPal links are down in the description as well as the ticker on the screen. All right. Now, let's look at what the S&P 500 index did today by using the SPY ETF. This ETF gives investors an opportunity to participate in the broader U.S. market by allowing them to own a percentage of each company in the S&P 500 index. Okay, so let's go back to our charts. Bam. And we can take Home Depot off the screen. We're about to look at the SPY. There we go. And do we have that? Yeah, we got the right one up here. Okay, so we're gonna go over here. We're going to go over here to the symbol box and type in SPY so we can pull up the State Street S&P 500 ETF Trust. Now, we are looking at a 1 year daily chart. I know I'm squinting. So they have a 52-week low, take me off the screen, of $575.60. We can see that. And they have a 52-week high of $749.53. And guys, they are pulling back. And that's expected because it can't go up forever. So it's doing a pullback. But what's interesting is, because we've been doing these live streams and looking at the S&P 500 every time we do the live stream, you can actually see, and you can go back and look at the videos, that we've already drew these price levels that we see it reacting to now. So we're not drawing these lines on the chart based off what didn't already happen. We drew these lines before they happen, and we can see that the price is actually responding to those price levels. We can see that it closed on the 9-day simple moving average. It didn't hold below those two areas of support at the 736.90 or the 738.20. But then today, it opened lower, a lot lower than where it closed at the day before. So it didn't necessarily gap down because it didn't clear the low, but it opened a lot lower, which would be right here at the top of the body of this red candle for today, compared to the lower body, which was the close of the previous day's candle. So it definitely opened lower, and it's trading in between these areas of support and resistance that we drew on the chart between 736.90. I'll spread this out a little bit. 736.90 and 731.83. And it kind of closed in the middle, but more at the bottom range because this is a red candle. Okay. So we really don't have to draw any supports or resistance because we already have them playing out as this ETF is pulling back. Okay. So we can go ahead and go into, matter of fact, we can do this. Let's extend the gap that we drew on the charts previously. I'm clicking the wrong button. So let's go over to December 1st of this year. So let's extend this to December 1st. Click OK. Bam. And let's extend this as well. Edit properties. Go here. December 1st. Got it. All right. So let me explain what these two shadows are that you're seeing on the screen. The yellow is the gap. And that's a gap between May 5th's daily candle and May 6th daily candle. This gray area that you see is a support zone because the price action is above it. And we use these two wicks right here in the top of the body of this green candle and the top wick of the red candle to draw that as a support zone. So if the price pulls back, it could be a gap fill. Look it up. It's a technical term for when the price action returns to a level where the price action gapped above or gapped below and there was no normal trading session activity within that price range. So it could pull back and create a gap fill and find support on this level right here. It could, but we already have our technicals drawn on the chart for that. Okay. So let's pull up our floating data box tool and go over this quote for this ETF today, guys. So the SPY ETF opened today at $734.78. They had a high of $737.65. And they had a low of $731.53. And they closed today at $733.73, which was a trading range of $6.12. Now, when we look at the trading volume, okay, They traded 54 million shares of this ETF today. Now let's go to our volume labels. Take me off the screen. And we can also take off this floating data box. Settings, off, apply. So the average trading volume for the SPY is 75 million shares of this ETF is traded in a daily session. So we can definitely see that today's volume is below average, but it is higher than the volume that they had on Monday, which was 47.8 million shares traded on Monday, and it was 54.2 million traded today. So the volume is increasing from Monday to Tuesday, but both of those are still below average. Now we can look at the volume rank percentile to get a clearer idea of how much lower this is compared to the other most recent 252 trading days. So only 33 days had volume that was below today's volume. So DB stands for days below. The volume percentile is 13.1%, which means today's trading volume was higher than only 13.1% of the most recent 252 trading days had lower volume than today. So today's volume was only higher than 13.1% of the most recent 252 trading days. There's a couple different ways to say it, but it means the same thing. All right. So we got that. Now we can go back here, guys. We got our technicals. We moving smooth. Let's move on. So let's go here. Bam. Now let's look at today's winners and losers. And first, we're going to look at the loser so we can end the night on a high note. All right. And I got my research for the winners and losers so we can talk a little bit more about it. And I'm about to pull that up, so I don't want to spoil it. Make sure I got the right thing up before I pull the screen over here for you guys. He messing up. I ain't messing up. I'm waiting a second. I got you. All right, I got it pulled up. So here we go. Pull it up for you. Here we go. Bam. All right. And we're not looking at the SPY right now. So today's loser is ticker AKAM, Akamai Technologies. They lost 6.25% today. Their previous close was $150.77, and they closed today at $141.34. All right. So let's do our hypothetical. Let's pull up the calculator. Clear this out. I don't know what we got going on over here, but anyway, if someone had invested, let's say $700, let's use a different number, $700, and they got that they lost 6.25%. Let's negate it, turn it into a percentage, well, a decimal of the percentage. Hit equal, they would have lost $43.75 of their $700 investment. So if we add the principal, which was the $700 back to it, that person would be left with $656.25. Boom, I got it. Bada boom, bada bing. We already have it selected. Let's go over here to the Analyze tab. Now that we're over here, we can see that AKAM is in the information technology sector. And then when we go over here, we would like to go over to the Market Watch tab to see how that sector performed as a whole. So we go over to Visualize, and we go to the S&P 500 heat map. It's right here. Now we're going to go down to the information technology sector inside of this heat map. And there we go. Now we're looking for AKAM, ticker AKAM. We're looking for a bright red. I see QCOM. AKAM is all the way over here in the corner. It might be too small for you to see, but it looks like it's in IT services. So we're going to break this down, open that up. Am I blocking it? Sort of, kind of, but you can see it right here, IT services. So now we can see AKAM better. So now we're inside the IT services industry, inside the information technology sector. And we can see that as a whole, this industry performed poorly today. It looks like EPAM might be the only green. Yep. And it was only 0.07% green day for that one. All the other ones were definitely red. The brighter the red, the worse the loss. So we can see that this industry lost today in the S&P 500. Okay. So now we can go back to the Analyze tab, company profile, take me off the screen. So the company name is Akamai Technologies Incorporated. Their website is right here. And their website link is also down in the description for your convenience. Akamai Technologies Incorporated engages in the provision of security delivery and cloud computing solutions in the United States and internationally. It offers security solutions that include web application and application programming interfaces, protection solutions which protect web API. Guys, that's a lot to read. We're going to go ahead and go to their website. I did some research to break this down and make it a little bit more simpler, which we're going to cover after we browse over the website anyway. So you're not missing anything, okay? So let me make sure we're zoomed in to where I want us to be at. Yes, we are. Okay, so we're going to browse over this website. We're going to look at why Akamai. For sure, I don't see anything else on the top of the page. So let's scroll over their homepage. Okay. What's new? Everywhere you do business, Akamai is there. Build applications anywhere, secure and scale them anywhere. Or does that say everywhere? Everywhere. Content delivery, security, cloud computing. Okay, so down at the bottom, we're definitely going to go to About Us. Let's go to awards. Let me take me off the screen so you can see it. So we're going to go to About Us. We're going to go to awards. We're going to go to careers, and we're going to go to investor solutions when I find it. Investor relations. Okay, so About Us, awards, investor relations, which will be last, and careers. Okay, so let's go to About Us. Put me back on the screen. There we go. Did they zoom us out? I don't know. Let's check. Nope, we're good. So About Us, we make life better for billions of people, trillions of times a day. Every day, billions of people connect with their favorite brands to shop online, play games, share ideas, manage money, and so much more. Absolutely. Akamai at a glance. Annual revenue in 2025 was over $4 billion. They have over 11,000 employees worldwide. And cities spanned by Akamai Connected Cloud is over 700. So they're giving you some of their specs, some of their data, some of their stats. That's the word I'm looking for. Their statistics, their stats. So Akamai sustainability, inclusion, diversity, and engagement, and human rights. Okay. So we went over that. Let's go ahead and go to careers. No, let's go to awards because and then let's go to awards. So here are some of their recognition that they've gotten. And remember, the links to the websites that we're covering tonight are down in the description for your convenience. I'm just browsing over, and I'm not going to read all of these guys. It looks like it's a long list. Forbes stands out to me. Wall Street Journal stands out to me. S&P Dow Jones indices stand out to me. And top 25 places, top places to work. I saw the 25 and threw a number on there, but top places to work. All right, so now let's go to careers. And you know what we're looking for? We're looking for the benefits. Where are right there? Bam, view benefits. So we go there. Let's see how detailed they go into what they offer. So they talk about global benefits, benefits to support your health, well-being, finances, and life beyond work. Here are the different benefits in the categories that they cover. And then you can break it down to country specific. So this tells us that they have employees in Costa Rica, India, Israel, Japan, Poland, and the United States. And the careers, I mean, the benefits differ depending on your location, where you work from or where their employees work at. Okay. So we see that and browse over the page a little bit more, and then we can go to investor relations. So it's right here. Am I blocking it? Yes, I am. So I'll take me off the screen before I click it right here. Investor relations. There we go. All right. So now that we're on this page, excuse me, it opened up on a different window. So I'll bring it over so you can see it. Blow that up. Put this back where it goes. Bam, bam, zoom in. We don't have to zoom in. It was already at 150. Okay. So I see the stock information tab, so we're going to go there in a second. I'm just going to browse over this home page. Put me back on the screen so you can see me. Browse over this home page for the investor relations, and we're done. That really wasn't long. So now we go right here to stock information, quotes, and charts. So this is the biggest loser. And I remember when we looked at Home Depot earlier, their chart didn't come up. So this is what we should see, guys. So here's the stock quote. But right here is where the chart should be, and I don't see the chart. So it could be loading. Like I said, I don't know what it is, guys. But like recently, when we're looking at these companies, they don't have this part of their website functioning correctly. See how long it took to load up? And some of these are similar. I don't know if this is a service that they pay for, like a different company does the charting for them or whatever, but it's been real delayed with opening up. And on some sites like Home Depot, it didn't even load up or open up at all. So I don't know what's going on. But here's their stock quote. Here's the chart that they offer on their website. And they have other tools right here as well. So let me go ahead and go here and share the research that I found with you guys. So here we go. So when it comes to the research, Akamai Technologies, ticker AKAM, when it comes to their goods and services, they provide cloud computing, security, and content delivery service to optimize and secure web traffic, offering solutions such as content delivery networks, cloud computing and storage, web performance optimization, and cybersecurity threat protection. And looking at their S&P 500 customers and partners, notable names include Apple, ticker AAPL, Microsoft, ticker MSFT, and IBM, ticker IBM. All right, so let's go to the Think or Swim platform, and we're going to look at the charts. Now, this isn't our first time covering Akamai, so we already have a lot of technicals. I wouldn't say a lot, but we have some data on the charts already. They're not blank. Okay, so this is a 1-year daily chart, and we can see, if I take me off the screen, that they have a 52-week low of $69.78, and they have a 52-week high of $165.45. And this wasn't that long ago. This was last week. So they hit their 52-week high last week. And I'm gonna break that down for you right now. So if we zoom in, we're looking at daily candles, right? So here's today's candle. Here's Monday. So these two candles are gonna form the weekly candle. So we're gonna look one candle back from the weekly candle when we go over there, and that will be the 52-week high. I'm looking for the button to put me back on the screen. And that would be the 52-week high candle when we go back, okay? So matter of fact, let me put this price level there now, because when we go to the 10-year weekly chart, it's going to recognize a different high because it's basing the high off the time frame we're looking at. So it's going to tell us the 10-year high. This is telling us the 1-year high, which is a 52-week high because we're looking at the most recent year, okay? So now when we go back, we'll see it just happens to be the same price. So the 10-year high is also the 52-week high, which is the $165.45. Now, when we go over here, the 10-year low is $44. Let me take me off the screen. You can't see it. $44.65. The 10-year low is definitely different, okay? And when we look at these weeks, when we looked at these weekly candles, I would say this is going to be support. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm putting a price level at the high of this red candle right here. That's what I'm doing. Let me zoom back out. Put me back on the screen. Bam. Now, with the price action being right here on this red candle, let me zoom in. This is the week. This is the candle for this week. This one right here. This is the candle for last week. And that has that 52-week high, which is also the 10-year high of $165.45. And guys, this pattern right now looks nasty. This looks extremely bearish to me because the body of this candle fits inside this big red candle, but we still have 3 trading days left. We got Wednesday through Friday left for this candle to form, but it looks extremely bearish to me. As far as support, I'm going to say that the top of this gap, but this gap happened inside of this week's candle. So 3 weeks ago. So you got this week, last week would be 2, and then this is the 3rd week. That week, it looks like they had earnings. Yep. So they had earnings on the 7th, May 7th. Excuse me. And I think the price gapped up on earnings. So we know that when we have yellow on our charts, that indicates some type of gap. It's either up or down. So since this candle is green, we can open this up by looking at the daily chart, and we can see that that was a gap up. Okay. From this green candle on May 7th daily candle to May 8th daily candle, there was a price gap there. Now, earlier we had talked about gap fills on the SPY ETF, right? So now we can see when we're looking at the daily chart that the price action has made its way below the 9-day simple moving average, and it actually gapped down. So if I go over here to my rectangle tool and snap it to this low and to this high, we can see that that's a price gap. We edit the properties, we turn it yellow. We take this over to December 1st, bam, 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 bam. November, December 1st, okay. And there's our gap indicator. So we know that that was a gap down between Monday, May 18th, and Tuesday, May 19th. No comments, no comments. I ain't missing anything. So the price today open right here at the top of the body on this daily candle. I'm trying to zoom in. Give me a second. The top of the body on this red candle, this red daily candle. Here's the open. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just go ahead and open up the floating data box now, even though we're not doing the quote yet. We're gonna come back and do the quote. But the open was $142.76. That's the top of the body. And then during today's price action, it made its way up to test the 9-day simple moving average. The 9-day simple moving average is 147.42. It's right there in the floating data box. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that price level on the chart. Mouse over it. We're going to put 147.42. 147.42. 147.42. 147.42 price level. 147.42. Bam, bam. 42. Okay. Bam. We got it. All right. Now, when we go over to, why does that not look accurate? Oh, I know why. Because we did this level based off of the 9. I looked and I seen that the high for today was a little bit higher than that. I'm like, that's not right. We did this based off the 9. So what I'm about to do, I'm going to go into the minute chart. Okay. So you can see that it came right there to that price point. Okay. That it tested it. We know where it was tested at. So there's the one. Let me take the floating data box. This looks nuts when you got that floating data box up and you don't actually need it. So now we're looking at minutes. We're looking at an intraday chart. And now each one of these candles represent a minute. And then we have extended hours on. We don't need extended hours. So let me show you how to take that off or turn that off. Go to settings, go to equities, and right down here where it says show extended hours and trading session, uncheck that box and click apply. The gray shaded area was extended hours. We don't need that. So here's today's price action on the intraday chart using minute candles. This gap down is this yellow area that we put there, right? But that $147.42 was the simple moving average on the daily chart, the 9-day simple moving average. So we can see that that wick or that shadow that we looked at on the daily candle for today, this is where it tested that level at. And then after, so we can see the time at the bottom of the screen. So around 1:36, that's when the sell-off started to begin. And we can see this is where it created today's low. It did it right before the end of the session. So we can see that was at 3:55 p.m. Eastern time. And then it recovered a little bit and tested the 9-minute simple moving average, because now we're looking at minute candles. So this is why I'm telling people or sharing with you guys that you have to pay attention to what time frame you're looking at when you're looking at these studies, because it uses a different time frame average. The price level on a 9 on a minute chart is going to be different from the price level on a 9 on a daily chart or a 9 on a weekly chart. Sometimes it can be the same, but most of the time it's going to be different because you're looking at a different time frame, which we looked at. So we know that the simple moving average on the daily was 147.42. But now if we cut back on the floating data box and we look at the very last candle for today, so let's zoom in on the minute chart. Here's the very last candle. So now we see that the simple moving average, the 9 simple moving average, is 141.31. You can see it in the floating data box, but this is based on a 9-minute simple moving average. So that's definitely a different price point. Now, if we go to the 10-year weekly chart and we zoom in and we look for that number, it's going to be different. So when we mouse over the week for today, today's week, which started May 18th, now the simple moving average, the 9-week simple moving average is $117.64. So this is why it's important to know what time frame you're looking at and what the actual study is set to. Okay. All right. So we did all of that. We did our technicals. I believe we did. Let's go back to the daily chart. So as far as support, our resistance is going to be the gap. Let me cut this floating data box off. Wrap this up. Just want to be clear on what I'm seeing with the technicals. The resistance is going to be this 9-day simple moving average from what I'm seeing, my personal opinion, and this gap down. I'm seeing those as resistance. As far as support, the top of this gap and it's $128.62. Now, if it comes all the way down and does a gap fill, which we talked about earlier, that means that it's going to come down and test the bottom level of this gap, which would be the high of this candle here. So if I put that price level on here, this is what that price would be. $117.48. That will be the bottom of that gap. And if the price came down in there and recovered, that would be a gap fill. Okay. So let me give you the stock quote for Akamai and Akamai. Akamai opened today at $142.76. They had a high of $147.68. They had a low of $140.38, and they closed today at $141.34, which was a trading range of $7.31. And the trading volume was 13.9 million shares of this stock was traded today. So now let's look at what their average trading volume is after we cut off the floating data box. There we go. Take me off the screen. We did that. Now, when we're looking at our volume labels, the average trading volume for Akamai is 3.3 million shares in a daily trading session. So today's volume was definitely higher. It was like 4 times higher than what they usually get. Compared. 4 times higher compared to what they usually get. So 3 times 4 would give you 12. So 4 times what they usually get. And then we can see that on Monday, it was just about average. It was 3 million on Monday, and now it's 13.9 million on Tuesday. And it was to the downside after the gap down. So they gap down and the volume increased, especially when it got under this 9-day simple moving average. Okay. Now, when we look at the volume rank percentile, put me back on the screen. Out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 4 days had more volume than today's volume. And then when we look at the volume rank percentile, today's volume was higher than 98.4% of the most recent 252 trading days. Bam. So we covered it. Now, let's go ahead and move on and talk about today's winner. Let's go over to the Market Watch tab, go over the quotes, change this percentage to positive. And now the winner for today is ticker EQT. Company name EQT Corporation. They had a gain of 4.04%, and their previous close was $57.45, and they closed today at $59.77. Okay, so where's the calculator? It don't even look like you get this on the screen. Okay, so if someone invested, let's use $900, and they got that 4.04 percent gain times 4.04%, bam, they would have gotten a return of $36.36 on top of their $900 investment, which was the principal. So we add the $900 back to it. Total investment would have grown to $936.36. Bam. Now let's go over here to analyze. When we go over to analyze, I want to close this calculator all the way. Go over to analyze. I know I'm pulling this up. I want to close this out because it's blocking the bottom of the screen. Anyway, EQT is in the energy sector. We can see that right here. So let's go over to Market Watch, go to Visualize. We're going to go over to the energy section, inside energy sector, not section, energy section, energy sector inside the S&P 500 and see how they did. Ooh, look like energy doing good. See what I mean? Go over and look at the visualize. It's a few companies that were red, but not many. It looked like it was SLB and BKR, but everything else was green. And the brightest green is right there, EQT. Now we want to find out specifically what industry are they in. So they are in the oil, gas, and consumable fuels. And those two energy companies that went down in this sector, their industry looks like it did bad today. 2 out of the 3 companies in that industry had a loss today. And that industry is energy, equipment, and services. But the oil, gas, and consumable fuels, they are green today. And EQT had the highest gain. All right. So that's what we seeing when we look at the visualize tab. Now we can go back to analyze. We can break this down a little bit more, take me off the screen. Now, here's the website EQT. For your convenience, it's also down in the description. Now, EQT Corporation engages in the exploration, production, gathering, and transmission of hydrocarbons and natural gas. I did some research, so I'm going to break that down after we visit their website so you're not missing anything. All right, so let's go to their website, the biggest winner website. Here we go. Now, let me double check, make sure I'm zoomed in. Yeah, I'm where we need to be at. So I know we're going to go to the About section. And now I'm looking for, and we're going to go to investors. We're going to go to careers. Yep. So I see exactly where we're going to go. So let's just browse over their homepage. And then we're going to go to the About section. So landowners, investors, careers, community resources, EQT Corporation is America's only large-scale vertically integrated natural gas producer with an evolutionary focus on our future. Okay, got it. EQT aims to be the operator of choice by creating long-term value for all stakeholders, including employees, landowners, communities, industry partners, and investors. Okay, they have videos here. Remember, links to the description, links to the companies and video. Oh my gosh, let me slow down. Links to the websites of the companies we're featuring in tonight's show are down in the description for your convenience. Our responsibility, environmental, social, governance reporting, EQT facts. Whether you're cautious about our operation, whether you're curious, you can't see it. Let me take me off the screen so we can just read this. Whether you're curious about our operation, sustainability efforts, or community initiatives, you'll find the answers here. So as you scroll through this, I'm just scrolling and all of those flip past. The links for these are down in the link for this website is down in the description if you want to read over that. But we are already past 12 o'clock. I want to get ready to wrap up tonight's show. So we're going to go to About, Corporate Profile. Yeah, let's just go here. Corporate Profile. So here are their principles. Guiding principles for our future impact. So they talk about our purpose. Provide energy security for the world and lower global emissions. Vision, become the operator of choice for all stakeholders. Mission, deliver affordable, reliable, cleaner energy to the world. I love how they have this laid out, guys, compared to how we go to these websites and we trying to find the purpose, vision, and mission statement. It's right here. It was very easy to find under the About section. I like how they did that. Now, let's go ahead and go to, I'm trying to scroll to the bottom. They got that stuff going on. So let's go to careers, and then we can go to investors. So you know what I'm looking for. We're looking for the benefits. So work at EQT, careers, drive innovation, fuel, and future for EQT. Current openings. Okay, this looks like a long scroll. We're just looking for the benefits. So I don't see anything different here at the top for us to find the benefits. I don't see anything we can click. So I'm not sure if they're going to share that, guys. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. So let's go ahead and go to the investors relations. We're already down at the bottom right here. Investors. Now this opened up a separate website. So let me bring this over so you can see it. Here we go. So let me blow this up. And we're about to get ready to look at the charts after this. Just let me set this up so you can see it. Hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. I definitely would appreciate it. So let's blow this up, zoom in. There we go. All right. So I'm just going to browse over this page. They trade on the New York Stock Exchange. We see the ticker, closing price for today. Stock information is at the top. So let me just scroll over this page to see what they have. Remember, links to this website are down in the description for your convenience. Now go back to the top. Here we go. We're going to go to stock information, stock info. And it does look like they pay a dividend. They got a dividend plan and other tools. Let's go to stock info. So here's the stock quote. Here's the stock chart and other investment tools from their website. All right. And I see other choices up here as well. Okay. Now let's go over here so I can break down my research about what I found out about this company. Now, EQT Corporation, ticker EQT. When it comes to their goods and services, they explore, develop, produce, and transport energy resources primarily from the Appalachian Basin, offering products and operations such as natural gas liquids, crude oil, and midstream gathering infrastructure. And looking at their S&P 500 customers and partners, notable names include Dominion Energy, ticker D. I believe we covered them yesterday in our live stream. Duke Energy, ticker DUK, and the Williams Company's ticker WMB. All right. Now let's go to the Thinkorswim charts. Bam. Let's do a quick technical analysis. Now, we haven't covered this company before, so we don't have any technicals here. So let me take me off the screen. Their 52-week low is $48.47. Their 52-week high is $68.24. And we're going to zoom out and we're going to go to the 10-year weekly chart. So their 10-year low is $4.21. 10-year high is $68.24, which is also the 52-week high. So let me go back to the 10-year weekly chart, and I'm going to look for some support and resistance. It looks like this price level right around here. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. Use this other tool. This area here, looks like it seems to have problems getting above that price level. Okay. So I'm going to delete those and put the price level to open that up so you can see. So we can see that that price level is $60.80. It tested it here. It wasn't able to close above it. It tested it here and it wasn't able to close above it. It did close above it here. And then right after it closed above it there, it went up and made that 10-year high and 52-week high. And then this weekly candle dipped down, whoop, and then closed below that same $60.80. And since then, the next week, it tested it with that wick, but it wasn't able to close above it again. Then it tested it again here on this week, and it wasn't able to get above it again. So I'm seeing this area right here as resistance. So that's $60.80. And I'm using the weekly chart to be able to do that, of course. Now, the pullback, I'm going to say this would be support, which would be the low of this candle. And then my next area of support will be the low of this candle. So let me delete those things and then put those on the screen as support zone. Levels, not zones, but levels. This candle here, boom, and this candle here, boom. Bada boom, bada bing. As far as resistance, we'll talk about that when we go over to the weekly chart, but I'm going to say the high of this red week right here. So that's $67.74 because I'm seeing 2 times it had trouble closing above it, even though that's the 52-week high. Okay. So we did our technicals really quick. So let's go back to our 1-year daily chart, and I can put me back on the screen. Bam. All right. So now we have our levels. I love doing the technicals from the weekly chart because it makes it so much easier for me when I zoom back in. All right. So we can see that the price action is currently trading above the 9-day simple moving average and the 200-day simple moving average, the dashed white line and the dashed green line. This is the 9, this is the 200. As far as resistance, we already see it, the $60.80. The next level of resistance, $67.74. Support, you can say the 9, you can say the 200, and they're close to one another. So you can just count that kind of like together since they're so close. And then if it makes it below that, First level of support to be tested, $55.11. The next level is all the way down at $49.26. Now, when we talked about the dividends, they pay a dividend of 16 cents, 16.5 cents. We can see that right here at the dollar sign icons on the bottom of the chart. And they had earnings on April 21st. Okay. So they had an increase in volume today with no earnings. So it probably some type of catalyst that came out. So you can check the news headlines to find out if it was some type of story behind what we're seeing on the charts. But I'm seeing, as far as the technicals right here, this was a hold candle right here. So that just means close above the high of the low day. The low day was this one. It closed above the high. So here's the close. The next candle didn't quite close above the 9 or the 200, but then it opened here above the 200-day simple moving average, closed above it convincingly, and then the next day followed through. So I'm just reading that based off the technicals. I don't know if they have some news or not. But then if I use this tool right here to point this out to you too, this looks like consolidation. And remember, after consolidation, the price is either going to break to the upside or it's going to break to the downside. And as we can see, it broke to the upside. So we can delete that. Bam. So that would be a brief moment of accumulation. So is it going to follow through? We need to keep an eye on it. All right. Now, let's delete that, clear that out. And we're going to talk about the stock quote because we did the technicals. Now, cut on the stock quote right here, floating data box, apply, pull this over. Now, so the stock quote for EQT, they opened today at $57.81. They had a high of $59.80. They had a low of $57.34, and they closed today at $59.77, which is a trading range of $2.45. When we look at the trading volume, they traded 8.6 million shares of their stock today. Now we need to look at what the average trading volume is. Take me off the screen, go over to our volume labels, and remove this floating data box as well. Here we go. So the average trading volume for EQT is 8.4 million shares in a daily trading session. So today's volume was slightly higher, not by much. So they had average volume, but it was an increasing volume because on Monday, it was only 6 million shares traded during the daily trading session. So we see increasing volume in the up direction. That's what we see by incorporating the volume into what we're seeing on the technicals. We see increasing volume from this in particular candle to that candle. Okay. So let's talk about the volume rate percentile. Put me back on the screen and we can get ready to wrap it up, guys. So the volume rate percentile, out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 95 of those days had more volume than today. So days above. When we look at the volume rate percentile, today's volume was higher than 62.3% of the most recent 252 trading days. Bada boom, bada bing. Guys, we are done. We did our technicals, we did our volume, we covered our winner, we covered our loser, so we can go here. Now, you already know. I hope that you learned something and I hope that you earned something. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I've done 2 interviews with up-and-coming content creator Tiara Owens, sharing how I got started investing in the stock market, my profits and losses, and a link to that playlist of interviews are down in the description. Make sure you tune in weekdays following the market trading session at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Take care and God bless.